Hello, my name is Kim, and this is my YouTube channel that I'm calling Mama Says. I am Mama. I started this channel because of decades of working with young people and finding out that there are lots of things that they should know in life that they don't know. And I just feel like I want to share a lot of things that I've gathered over the years with young people who either maybe don't have a parent who can teach them these things, or maybe the parents are so busy with work and just trying to make ends meet that they just haven't been able to take the time to do it, or maybe the parents don't even know. We're kind of in that situation where the younger parents maybe have parents that didn't know how to do this stuff. So a lot of what I'm going to share is homemaking kind of things, just things that you need to know, but some of it will be advice on different things. And if you have questions or things you want me to talk about, you can always send that in and maybe we'll get to that. I truly don't know if anybody is going to watch this, but one thing you will find out if you do is that I am not polished like some of those Instagram videos where they've got their hair all perfectly coiffed and the makeup done and whatever. I got my hair in a ponytail, see, and I got no makeup on. My house is generally kind of a mess, to be honest. So my videos are not going to be polished. I'm not trying to put on pretenses for anybody. I'm just trying to be very real and just share some stuff that I feel like maybe you should know. I taught high school for a long time, so a lot of these videos are going to be teaching you how to do things. And I'm going to assume that you don't know how to do any of this stuff, because I have come across some young people who don't know how to do anything but peel off the lid of the mac and cheese cup and put it in the microwave. They know nothing else. And so I'm going to assume that that's kind of where my audience is. And if it's too basic or rudimentary for you, feel free to just skip on by. You can make comments as long as they're positive. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. But my hope is that you learn something and that you are encouraged to go out and do things for yourself and to be self-reliant and to, just be a productive adult. So we're going to start today by making one of my favorite summer treats. It is zucchini brownies. I got this recipe from allrecipes.com and it has become a staple for me. So I'm going to take you over and show you some zucchini I have, and then we're gonna get started. So here we have some zucchini, and I'm probably going to use this guy. Maybe I'll use this guy. He's a little scratched up, but he's okay. This guy I'm not gonna use because I've let him sit too long. He is squishy. And you don't want a zucchini that's squishy. So I'm going to have to throw him away. Unfortunately, waited way too long. But I need 2 cups of shredded zucchini. I don't peel them. And I even use the seeds. Unless the seeds are ginormous, then I try to scoop them out. And if you get a huge zucchini, you might get a ginormous one that has big seeds. I try to get rid of the seeds and use most of the flesh. But anyways, I think I'm going to use this big guy. So now I'm just going to give this guy a rinse. I've already washed him, so I'm just going to rinse him off real quick. And then we're going to bring him over to the island where we're going to... So before we get started, first thing you need to do is read your recipe. So the recipe on the back, it's probably reversed for you. I'll make it so you can see it actually. It says to preheat the oven to 350 and grease and flour a 9 by 13 pan. So I'm going to get a pan out and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so greasing flour 9x13 pan. This pan isn't actually 9x13, it's like 8.5 by 11.5, but it's close enough. It will affect the cooking time a little bit because it'll be a little thicker, but it's all right. So greasing flour, I have sprayed with cooking spray before, but I think it tends to be just like too much. So what I've started doing is taking a little piece of paper towel and spray it with my cooking spray. So, sorry, mine is tingling. So now I got some spray here. It's dripping off a little bit, but that's okay. What I'm gonna do is then use this, and I wash my hands. You gotta always wash your hands first. And I'm going to just rub it all over the bottom of this pan and the corners, the edges, the bottom corners there and the sides. So now, instead of wasting a whole bunch of oil or whatever, I just got a little bit on here and now it's well coated. So now I take a little bit of flour. I've got, this is 1/3 of a cup and there's not a whole lot in there. So I just sprinkle a little bit in there. I don't think it, I'll just put it all in there. Now, I'm just gonna kind of shake it around. I don't know if you can see this, but I shake it. If it gets stuck, you might have to tap your pan a little bit. So I can get a little closer here so you can see what's going on. And I'm just shaking the flour all around the edges. Let me get this edge. I haven't done this side yet. And then really good down the middle. Okay, so now you might be able to see, I don't know if you can see or not, but I got some stuff kind of built up there. I'm just gonna tap that gently to loosen it up. And so now it's really nice and floured, and I've got some in the corner here, and I'm just gonna dump that out. Okay, so I've dumped that out, and it's just nice and lightly floured. You don't want it too much, just enough to keep it from sticking to the sides. So I'm gonna put that over here, out of the way, and I've preheated my oven. Oh, it's probably backwards. Preheated my oven to 350. We've greased and floured our pan. So before you do anything, you always read the recipe to make sure you know what you need to do. So I've got my oven preheated or preheating. I've floured my pan. So next it says, in a large bowl, mix together oil, sugar, 2 teaspoons vanilla until well blended. Combine flour, 1/2 cup cocoa powder, baking soda and salt. Stir into the sugar mixture. Fold in zucchini and nuts. Spread evenly into the pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my zucchini first so that it's ready. It says I need 2 cups of shredded zucchini. So the way I'm gonna do that, I've already washed it. You're gonna cut off the flower end, because we don't want that. And we're gonna cut off the stem end. We don't want that. And now you're gonna use, I use just a hand grater like this. This one's kind of cool. I think I found it at Ross, maybe. It's got a lid, and it's got a little kind of a container that will collect the stuff that you shred. So you can cut this into smaller pieces so it's easier to hold. You can see my seeds are not very big. So I'm just gonna shred it. It does not take very long, but I'm gonna pause it until I get it done. Then I'll come back. Okay, so I've already got 1 cup in here. I need 1 more cup, and the way that you can see I've got a mess here. So I'm gonna take all this stuff right here and just put that in my cup. And I'm gonna take this off of this bowl. I'm gonna scrape the insides and get all of this off of there. I'm gonna put that in my cup. And I'm gonna fill. I'm just kind of tapping it. I'm not pressing it in there hard, just kind of loosely putting it in there. And it's not perfect. home ec teachers might say you need to make it perfect, but this works for me. So that's my second cup. Now you can see I've got a lot left here. So what I will do is I'm going to measure that out by cups, and I'm going to put it in freezer bags. And then I'm going to put it in the freezer, and I'm going to bring it out and make zucchini brownies when I don't have any fresh zucchini. I will say though that with this recipe, the brownies will be different depending on whether you're using frozen zucchini or freshly shredded zucchini. If you use frozen zucchini, all the moisture from the zucchini when you thaw it out is going to be very liquidy, and you want to keep all of that. You don't want to dump it out. But it's going to make your brownies more cakey. This way, when you mix it up, your brownie mix is going to look very dry, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. But they're going to end up with more of a crunchy kind of a top to it, which I really like. I prefer it this way, but yeah, so that they will be different. Okay, so now we got that. Okay, so I got my 2 cups of zucchini here, cleaned up a little bit, and it says in a large bowl, mix together oil, sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla until well blended. So I need 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 1½ cup white sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So 1/2 cup of oil, I always like to put the lid right back on because in case I knock it off, I don't want to mess. So scrape down the insides with a little spatula. There we go. So 1/2 cup of oil, 1½ cups of white sugar. I already measured a 1/2 cup of white sugar and put it in the 1 cup because I'm lazy and I don't have to wash that and then use it again. So I went ahead and measured a 1/2 cup there. And then I need 1 more cup. I want to try to get it pretty level. There's 1½. And then I need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Here's my measuring spoons. And my vanilla. Here's my teaspoon. I have a big bottle of vanilla because I use a lot of it. I cook a lot. So there's 1. There's 2. And now I'm just going to use my little spatula that I scraped my measuring cup with to mix this up until it's well blended. Just takes a second, but you'll kind of know when it's well blended because the vanilla will be all mixed in and you won't have any like white spots. The vanilla will make it look all brown, and you just want it uniformly brown. So I'll show you that. So there you go, uniformly brown. Okay, so now I've got that mixed. I need flour, 1/2 cup cocoa, baking soda, salt. 2 cups all-purpose flour. And this you want to try to get pretty flat. So there's 1. This is in a separate bowl. Just kind of shake it off here. There's 2. 2 cups flour. Baking soda and salt. All right, I use a lot of baking soda too. I use it to clean my stainless steel sinks, and so I have a big old bag of it, and I just refill my little jar as I need it. So I need 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. My 1 teaspoon is dirty from my vanilla, so I'll use 3 half teaspoons. 1, 2, 3. And 1 teaspoon of salt. I always like to put lids back on things because, like I said, I kind of make a mess. Now, if you have a salt shaker and you're getting your salt out of your salt shaker, when you take the lid off, be careful because there could be salt all up around that rim. I don't happen to have any this time, but if you do, quite a bit will fall out. So you have to do a little bit less in your measuring to account for that. So I need 1 teaspoon of salt, and I'm using the half teaspoons again. All right. Lid back on that. And a half cup cocoa. So here's my half cup. I did have to wash it after all. Here's my cocoa powder. This is cocoa powder. So I'm going to that's pretty darn close. I could put a little more in there, but it's fine. I'm gonna put that in there. Now I'm gonna use my same spoon to stir it up, just because I don't like washing a bunch of things. It does not matter, it's all going the same place. So I'm gonna mix that up. Try to get all of my cocoa powder blended in there. And then I use my spatula and kind of rub it along the sides of the bowl just to try to break up any lumps that there might be, but I think we got it pretty well. Okay. So we did that, and now we have to add it into our sugar mixture and then add our zucchini. So I'm putting all that in there. And I see that there's a little bit of flour on the bottom that didn't get mixed, so I'm gonna kind of mix that up real quick. And then I'm gonna add my zucchini. So here's what we've got so far. And now I'm gonna just mix all of this up. And it's still gonna be pretty crumbly by the time I'm done. So you can see it's still pretty crumbly. So I'm gonna mix it up a little more yet. The more you mix it, the more the liquid comes out of the zucchini and the less crumbly it gets. So I'm gonna mix it a little more. Okay, so now I've scraped all around the bottom corners of the bowl. I found a couple spots where there's a little clump of the sugar oil mixture, so I got that all mixed in. But you can see it's still pretty crumbly, but this is what is gonna give it that yummy crunchy texture that I like. So now we're gonna bring it over. We're gonna dump it into our pan. Hold on. There we go. Now we're gonna dump it into our pan. It still looks pretty crumbly, and it will. We're just gonna mix this around here. All right, there we go. Now we're gonna put it in the oven. Okay, so we're gonna put it in the oven. It says 25 to 30 minutes or until brownies spring back when touched. Now, my oven tends to take longer than what it says, so we'll see. Okay, so now we're going to check them and see what we think. Nope, that's still squishy in the middle, so I'm gonna give it probably about 7 more minutes. We'll start with that and see how that goes. So we'll go to All right, we'll see. Okay, so yesterday had a technical glitch. My camera died and wasn't able to show you taking these out of the oven, but took them out yesterday and let them cool, and I will show you what they look like. There they are. So like this here, this is the crunchy part I really like. And this here is more cakey. Hopefully you can see this. This is more cakey. So, I mean, I probably could have cooked it a bit longer, but even if it's a little undercooked, it's gooey, which is yummy still. So it's totally fine. Okay, so now we're gonna make the frosting, and here's our frosting recipe. And again, I'll post this somewhere else so you can get it. We need 6, let me put this back here. Oops. Okay, we need 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder, which is a scant ½ cup. So I measured it one time because I got tired of doing 6 of these, and I just figured out how much it was. It's a scant ½ cup. So what that means, if it says it's a scant whatever, it's just slightly less than full. So sometimes, you know, you scoop it in, it's a little heaping. It's the opposite of heaping. It's a little under full. And a ¼ cup butter, 2 cups powdered sugar, ¼ cup milk, and ½ teaspoon vanilla extract. So for this, we're gonna melt the butter and the cocoa together, and then you set it aside and let it cool. And then when it's cooled, or mostly cool, then you blend the powdered sugar, milk, and vanilla, and then you add in your cocoa mixture, makes it really thick, and then you spread it on the top. And these are obviously nice and cool, so we can spread it on whenever our frosting's ready. But you want to be sure your brownies are mostly cool before you ever put the frosting on, because if they're hot, the frosting will melt and it'll absorb down into your brownies, and then you won't have anything left on top. The inside will be real gooey and sweet, but you won't have the frosting on top. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing we need is a ¼ cup of butter. This is 1 stick, and it's wrapped up in parchment because I got a 1-pound block of butter, and then I cut it into sticks myself and wrapped it in parchment. But a ¼ cup of butter is ½ a stick. So I'm going to cut this, put this out of the way, maybe you can see. I'm going to cut this in half. If you buy butter already wrapped in the sticks, then it'll say like how many tablespoons is a ¼ cup, how many, 1 stick is a ½ cup. It'll tell you all that. So I'm gonna wrap this back up, put it back in the fridge. The reason that butter has to be covered and wrapped well in like a thick paper is because it absorbs the flavors and smells of other stuff in your fridge. So you never want to leave butter on a plate open in your fridge because it tastes really bad when you go back to use it. All right, so I've got that. I'm going to turn this on medium low. Not low, not medium, but kind of medium low. And now I'm going to do my scant ½ cup of cocoa powder. So I'm just going to dip it in there. This to me is about a scant ½ cup. It's not full. It might be a little full even for a scant, but it's fine. You're not going to do anything wrong. So I'm going to dump this in here. Actually, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until my butter's totally melted, and then I'm going to dump it in there and mix it up. So let's see. So we got the butter melting, and I've got it on kind of medium low. If I wasn't going to be standing here watching it, I would turn it down really low. But because I'm going to be standing here watching it, I'll know when it's melted. But butter can get away from you melting-wise if you're not paying attention. But if you need to melt it and walk off and prep something else, then putting it up here on like low is usually pretty safe. So let's see here. So we'll let that melt. Okay, now we got it all melted. So I'm gonna get my cocoa powder over here. Just gonna dump that in. Yep, got that out. And now we're just gonna mix this real well. And I need to turn my heat off. I don't need that on anymore. So you wanna be sure, if you can, you wanna try to get all the lumps out. So scrape the sides every now and again. So I stirred this up and I think I've got all my lumps out. And now we're just gonna set this aside off the stove to let it cool. Just put it right here. Okay, so for our frosting, we have done the scant half cup of cocoa powder and the quarter cup of butter. It's cooling. Actually, I had to run to the store and get more milk for the frosting. And when I did, the cocoa powder and butter mixture got solid. So I had to actually heat it up just a little bit just to make sure it wasn't solid so that I can mix it in with this and it'll actually blend. So, lesson learned. I need 2 cups of powdered sugar, quarter cup milk, half teaspoon of vanilla. So here's my powdered sugar. I usually just stick my cup down in there unless it says you need to sift it. So that's pretty close, 1 cup. Two cups. And then quarter cup milk, half teaspoon vanilla. So I'll do the vanilla real quick. And a quarter cup milk. Now I'm going to use a whisk for this because I think it blends better if you do. This is my whisk. I like it because it's got this little plastic thing right there that you can use to scrape the side of the bowl with, but let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just gonna whisk all of this together until there's no more powdered sugar left. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this with my hand and do it at the same time. Okay, I think we've got most of it. All right, now I'm going to get my cocoa powder, and you can tell that it's been warmed up a little because it's shiny. That means the butter in it is melted. So I'm gonna bring that over, and I'm gonna dump that in here. I'm gonna pause for a sec while I do that. So I dumped in my cocoa butter mixture, and I'm gonna mix this all up until it's well combined. Okay, you wanna be sure you scrape all along the sides and down there in the bottom corners of the bowl to make sure there's nothing lingering down there, and there isn't. I've already checked it. So I'm going to get everything out of my whisk here and just shake it out. I might have to use my spatula and get it out. So give me just a sec. Okay, so here's my frosting, and now I'm just going to spread it onto the top of my brownies. Okay, so now we're going to put our frosting on our brownies, and put this out of the way. I got a bunch right here. I'm just gonna kind of spread it across the top. Let's see if I can show you. So I got a big spatula full here, and I'm just gonna spread it across the top like this. And it doesn't have to be beautiful, because you're gonna eat it anyways. Get some more. Come over here. Spread it on. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna come and just do one strip from corner to corner here, like that. Okay, now you'll see my edges are not covered. So I need to be sure I get my edges covered, and I wanna seal the edges with some frosting, because if you don't, the air will get down there. And that's why I just put some on the spatula, shove it into the corner like so, and then just run it along like that. Excuse me. So I get a little more. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Just push it down in there, rub it along like that. I'm trying to cover all the holes, but I definitely want to try to get the edge sealed there. A little more over here. Let me get the edge here, like that. See, I've got a little air right there. I don't want that. Cover that up. And just kind of wrap it along here. Get a little more. There's plenty of frosting, unless you really, really like frosting. And then you may want to make another like half recipe or double it, but it's very, very rich, I'm telling you. You probably don't need much. I've got a little bit over on that side I need to fill in over here. So you just kind of shove it down in there. A little bit more. Oh, look right there. You can see some that I missed when I was stirring it. So I'm just gonna blend it in real quick right there. I'm gonna take care of this corner over here. There we go. So now it's pretty well covered, and now I'm just gonna take whatever I've got left and just put it on the top. And see these little kind of bubbles and holes there? I need to cover those up because those will get air in them as well. So go like that. But it's all sealed at least. There we go. And there you have it, zucchini brownies. So here's our zucchini brownies. And the last thing is to taste test them. I'm not taking these anywhere, so it's okay if I dig into them. So we're gonna cut a little piece. This is one of my favorite knives. I am not getting paid by Cutco to say this. This is a Cutco spatula spreader. Smooth on one side, serrated on the other, and this thing is flexible. You can use it to cut, and then you can use it to dip. It's wide enough that you can dip with it or serve with it. So, put this here. Here's our zucchini brownies. You don't see the zucchini in there at all. And most people who don't know that there's zucchini in them don't know there's zucchini in them. Definitely worth the time. So zucchini brownies, if you can make them instead of other brownies, I think they're way better. They're better for you. You don't have preservatives and stuff like that in them. Most people don't even know there's zucchini in them. It's a good way to get a little bit of veggies in your diet. And, you know, I always say, Mama says, if you got some veggies in it, it can't be bad. So, a little bit of zucchini. And I finished shredding my zucchini and I ended up with 3 cups extra. So I put 2 of them in one bag, put it in the freezer, put the other cup, and I've got it in my fridge because I'm gonna probably make some zucchini bread or something like that with it. And I don't know how much I need, so I just left it in the fridge for now. But zucchini brownies, I hope you try it. Hopefully you learned a little something. Just to refresh, some of the things that you maybe didn't know is the term scant. Remember we said scant, half cup of cocoa powder? That means just a little bit less than full. And I think that's probably the new term that might be new to some of you. But I hope you try these, I hope you enjoy them, and I will post the recipe at the end.